Well, good evening, everybody. I'm John Lucas, president of the Alumni Board, class of '92. So I was in high school when Eric was, and I'd like to welcome you all tonight. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to be welcoming one of our own, and it's always fun to have family come back, and extended family, parents, and the next generation as well. Currently, there are 29 people in the Athletic Hall of Fame, and Eric tonight will be the 30th member of this elite group. I'd like to invite Eric's father, Ron Golden, to say a few words about him.
I've been asked to say a few words. Actually, I'm a pinch hitter because the original person that was, I think, originally asked to speak, it was is Eric's younger brother. Now I'm getting confused with all that. But I agreed, since Steve couldn't make it, to speak on all of our behalf. You know, there are a few things that come to my mind, and I'm not going to make this really long. I have about 3 or 4 things that I really want to say. One of which is we all understand what Columbus Academy is all about and the great background it's had in this community and what it stands for, and the academic prowess and successes and all the great alumni who have come through here. Eric's been a product, as everyone in this room knows, I think, of the private school sector. He actually went from kindergarten through 8th grade to Columbus Tour Academy and then came here. So he's really never experienced what the real world is all about, the public school environment. And it was kind of, I guess, a rude awakening once he left here to find out how everything was. But we made a real judicious decision, whereas probably 998 out of 1,000 people select Academy because of the academic prowess and esteem and everything that it brings to the table. We went the other route. We were looking for the best athletic place to send our kids. I mean, we know that when you have kids that are of good academic material and background, they're going to make it anywhere. And we felt that Eric, and then later his brother Steve, could certainly survive in any kind of an environment. So we were looking at that time for something that might be a challenge as much athletically as anything. So whereas people say, you know, why did you go to Academy? We were really, we're living in Bexley, and good school system there. We said they had a great athletic program. As I said, and I spoke with Jim Stahl and Jack McMullen on a couple of occasions, and Jim Stahl was a renowned coach here, and Jack McMullen was a great basketball coach and athletic director. And Jim said, why doesn't Eric come over and take a tour of the school? Said, fine. He came over and took a tour, and then took the entrance examination. And I got a call from a gentleman by the name of Lou Schultz, who said, you know, we'd like to have Eric come in here and really talk about this on a serious basis. So he came back over, and I guess the rest is history. For 4 years, Eric played, as everyone has already heard, he played sports for 3 years, and or for 4 years, pardon me, 3 sports for 4 years. Although in his freshman year, it was great because, you know, here he is, a kid out of nowhere who came into this environment, and he made the varsity soccer team, and by the end of the season was starting. And then he played freshman basketball, and as I vividly remember, Fran and I were in the crowd one evening, and he dove for a ball right near the end of the season and dislocated his hip. And we had to take a quick emergency ambulance ride to Mount Carmel East, and the hip, I guess, it took time. He was in traction for 72 hours, but it really pretty much destroyed his freshman baseball season. But he did come back and play. The next 3 years he played varsity sports in all 3 sports for those 3 years. So he ended up with 10 varsity letters. And there's a few things that really I think about when I think, and it was announced, I think Jen announced that he made the first 3-point goal in Columbus Academy history. And after, the kids were afraid to shoot 3-point shots with Jack McMullen. But he took the first one, he made the first one, and after that, you know, it was just like they were throwing threes all over the place. So Eric, you know, has that reputation. And then I remember also in his sophomore year, there was a big 6'10" kid that played basketball here, and he was injured. And Eric was a sixth man that season, and Coach Jack McMullen told him he would be starting. And he said, "Eric, how do you want me?" Eric was 5'4", and you know, the other guy was 6'10", and he said, "How do you want me to announce you, as a center or as a guard?" Eric says, "Center, I'm going in." So they played Dublin. It was the original Dublin High School, and we're up there, and they announced the two forwards, and then the next guy they announced as a center, and they announced Eric Golden, and you see a guy 5'4" running out on the court, but that I remember. I just wanted to conclude by saying actually reading one thing to you that I found in an Academy newspaper, and I'll quote this: "The 12 sport athlete is a proud yet near distinct species of athlete among the Academy family. The 12 sport athlete symbolizes the finest examples of dedication and devotion to athletics every season throughout the year. Eric Golden not only participated in 3 sports during the year, but excelled in them. A consistent starter in the sports that he played, soccer, basketball, and baseball, Eric Golden continued to shine during his senior year. In soccer, he scored over 20 goals and 15 assists and won all state honors. In basketball, he was 3rd team All-District. Next fall, Eric's planning on accepting a baseball scholarship to the University of Central Florida. Meanwhile, he continues to produce well for the varsity baseball team, and this is his 3rd varsity season. He's lettered 4 years in soccer and 3 years in basketball as well." That was submitted by none other than John Lucas. I found that, John. So at this time, I'll turn it back to you. I figure it's all yours.
I can always remember having Eric on the field with me. Steve and I were teammates for 4 years there. And there's not a nicer family, there's not a nicer person that I've had the opportunity to share a field with than Eric. So Eric, I would like to present you with this plaque.
Wow, what an incredible honor to be inducted into an athletic hall of fame at a school like Columbus Academy, where there are so many championship banners that hang, where there have been so many great athletes that came before me, that came after me, and some of whom that I played with. There are others in this Hall of Fame that I'm just honored to be included among, guys that I played with like Donnie Leschnock, guys that I played for like Coach Jim Stahl, who are in this Hall of Fame. There are a lot of people, I think, who throughout the course of my life played a big role in my athletic career in terms of my development, as well as who gave me opportunities to achieve certain levels of success. There were coaches I had here at Columbus Academy, and Dad stole a little of my thunder. We didn't compare notes on what was going to be said, but Coach and now Judge Jeff Sutton gave me a chance as a 9th grader who was brand new at a school to come and play on the varsity soccer team, and gave me opportunities that I didn't know I could have. My sophomore year, Coach Jack McMullen gave a 5'4" sophomore a chance to play on the varsity basketball team. And a little bit more about that story that Dad was telling about the Dublin game. Actually, what happened was Coach McMullen, when he came up to me, he said, "I don't know if I want them to announce you as center or as a guard. What would you like?" And I said, "Center. I'm never going to get a chance like this again. Come on." And he said, "Yeah, let's do it." So I'm sitting there, and he said, "We'll see if they'll do it for you," because we weren't sure. We were at Dublin and didn't know what they would do. So I'm sitting there on the bench, and the announcer says, and starting at center, a 5'10" sophomore. I said, "Oh, they didn't do it because I've never sniffed 5'10". But then they said Eric Golden, and I thought, wow, that's pretty neat. And I ran the post that game and set a lot of screens and maybe pulled down a couple of rebounds. But that's the rest of the story on that. But those opportunities that I was given are opportunities that allowed me to get to achieve success in sports. The Columbus Academy, despite what my dad said, well, yeah, we chose it because of athletics, I guess, but also because of academics. It helped me to the point where I've told my wife this many times, college was pretty easy after going to Columbus Academy and going through the academic, doing the academic work that I did here. There were others who also played important roles. My teammates that I played with some of whom I've maintained lifelong relationships with and friendships with, like Adam Kessler, who's here tonight. These are guys that I just had a great time playing with in high school, and we've been able to keep in touch and just just lifelong friendships that you don't get every day. Not everybody has that opportunity. My family, of course, played a tremendous role in everything that I've done during my life. My brother Steve, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, I learned so much from him in terms of competitiveness and how to compete. We had some of the best one-on-one basketball games in the driveway. We played burnout in the front yard so you could throw the ball harder, and made up all kinds of games as we went along. And some of my best battles growing up were with my brother. And I thank him for that and for his friendship and support throughout the years as well. And then my mom and dad, who all of you know how much they supported me, how much they sacrificed for me and gave to me. They were truly coaches and parents for me, both on and off the field. My dad was my baseball coach from the time I was, well, 4 or 5 years old, maybe even earlier. I'm pretty sure he put the first bat in my hand and made sure I swung it left-handed, which now I'm trying to do it with our son Griffin, making sure that he swings it left-handed as well, which I think so far he is. And I guess one more thing, for those of you that know both of my parents, everyone knows that whatever speed I had, I got it from my mom. With that, I'd like to thank John and Jen and the Alumni Association. I'd like to thank the faculty and the staff at Columbus Academy and everybody else who helped make this evening possible. Thank you very much. Go Vikes.
Yeah. Eric Golden, class of 1990, Columbus Academy Athletic Hall of Fame, inducted May 6, 2013, for his exceptional contributions to the athletic program at the Columbus Academy and the honor such achievements brought to the school.